Hello everyone, this is Jarvis Escott with What's Happening in Birmingham. Today I got the honor and pleasure of being with Miss Leah Wiggins, which is Leah Wiggins Agency of Farmers Insurance. Good afternoon, Miss Wiggins.
Good afternoon, Jarvis, and to everyone that is viewing this today.
All right, thank you for taking time out your day. We was going to sit down with Miss Wiggins and learn more about her agency, specifically Farmers Insurance, and this September is also Life Insurance Awareness Month, so we're going to talk about that in a few moments as well. So the first question is, why did you choose a career in insurance?
Oh, wow. Why did I choose a career in insurance? Well, it's not like I sought that. After years of being in marketing and business development, over the course of the years, I developed an interest in helping people prepare for the future. I had done some things with financial peace and planning in ministry, and began to seek a career change after staying at home with my children for a number of years and then working in a law firm with my husband. And at the time, that was one of the industries that constantly recruited me. So I didn't necessarily choose it chose me, but I found it to be a place where I could definitely do the things that were important to me, like helping families prepare for their future and protect the things and the people that mean the most to them.
Okay, so why did you choose Farmers?
So why did I choose Farmers? Well, it was actually when I chose Farmers, which is this year will be my 9th year, it was a natural entree for me because the startup fees in terms of being appointed with Farmers were minimum in my opinion. I had already had a building that I could start my business in, and it required me just a minimum outlay in terms of getting involved. I had to get my licenses, and then I was ready to roll. Basically, we already had a building that we had, and we could work from that building. Already had pretty much some of the tools set up, and from there it was just expansion. Once I started to add people, staff to it, and add various things to run a business.
Okay, so what services do your agency provide?
Wow, we have over 50. I have a multi-line agency, and I am an insurance agent and a financial services agent. And all that means is not only can I help you protect the wheels that you have or the walls that you have, but I can help you also protect your wealth. So we offer about 50 different products, from home insurance to financial services products, fixed products for retirement, and then there are variable products for retirement, college planning for children, 529s. So because I am licensed with not just an insurance license, I can provide those things. So there are over 50 things that we can help individuals and business owners to protect themselves.
Okay, so this month is September, which is the fall. What are your most common calls you get this time of year?
This time of the year, for us, because my business did start in September, that was my launch, we get calls for this, but not only do we reach out to a lot of our clients for review of their policies. So people are asking, my policy is about to renew, what does it have this, does it have that? So what we have decided to do is to be proactive and call our clients and make sure that nothing has changed. And if it has changed, provide to them some options. Have you adopted a child? Have you gotten married? Have you gotten divorced? Have you had a child? Have you moved to a new house? All those things affect protecting the things that are important to you. So we make proactive calls, and we also get calls about things that are on the policies. And we make sure that we do what we call a policy review or a farmer's friendly review. Every year, at least we offer to our clients. Not everybody wants to sit down, and some people are shocked that people even call them for that because in the past they haven't experienced it. But that's what we pay attention to, the things that matter to our clients, to make sure that we are aware of any possible gaps that they may have in insurance.
Okay, since I mentioned earlier about September being Life Insurance Month, can you speak a few moments about the importance of life insurance? And it's one of them subjects people don't really want to talk about, but it's something that really needs to be discussed.
Yeah, life insurance is very important. And that's one of the things we do in our reviews. A lot of people have insurance and they haven't picked up any information about it, so they don't really know what they have in their policy. They don't know if this is a term policy that's going to, at some defined moment, going to no longer be in effect, or if the policy has riders for their children, that when they turn a certain age, that won't be in effect. So it's important that if you have life insurance, that you pay attention to what the policy covers for, and if you don't, that you look at protecting yourself and your loved ones in the event of their untimely leave or demise. So that's something that you do have to pay attention to. And there are so many options for life insurance. Like I mentioned earlier, there's the term insurance, which is for a specific time period. And then there also is permanent insurance, which includes what people call whole life. And also they talk about universal life insurance. There are index policies where you could not be tied to the markets for some growth to your life insurance policy, but you can also receive some growth being outside of that. So there are a lot of different options for life insurance, but primarily people look at term life and whole life or permanent life.
Okay. And then one of the things you get from time to time is the cost. And a lot of people may have objections to the cost. What do you say to potential customers when they say, well, I want to get it, but it doesn't quite fit my budget?
Yeah, so first of all, is there someone that if something were to happen to you, that you wouldn't want them to be left on the hook for any debt that you have? Is there anyone, that's the first question I asked, is there anyone that you want to leave an inheritance to? So I ask those questions first to see what the objective and goal of the life insurance is for that person. And then the next question I say, well, I ask, we ask folks, how much do you have budgeted for that? And that kind of determines maybe the face value of the policy. Now, the term policy is what people get ordinarily if they want to have a large amount of coverage for a specific time, because that is less expensive. And then the permanent life insurance is something that people tend to get if they're looking to cover those things that will not go away like death, or they're trying to cover a spouse's income. And that's a little bit more expensive, but you'll have that in place for an extended period of time and not necessarily for a term. So I say that there are options from one range of the spectrum to the other that are available to you. We just have to sit down and talk about what your objectives are and look through those things, because most people don't want to leave their loved ones without protection or an increase or some type of inheritance if something happens to them. So that's what I try to share with them. Ensure your loved one and ensure that they are protected and that their futures are stable if something happens to you. So we can find a range of prices for you, but we just need to know what your objectives are. And the other thing about that is we try to definitely encourage people to do that on the younger end of their lives. Because the earlier you get life insurance, the younger you are, the less expensive it is. So we talk to young couples, talk to individuals who are turning 21 and 22, because they can take that into their adulthood as protection for their life. So we try to start early, and if we don't, there still are options for you. It just depends on the range in which you may have allotted to pay for it.
Okay, what do you say if someone say, well, I already got insurance offered through my job?
Yeah, that's a common response that we get from people. And I say, if you have it through your job, that's a great thing. But what if you decide to leave that job? Most life insurance offered through jobs is for the individuals that work for them. And we know the rate that people are changing jobs these days, how they won't have that. And then if you leave that job after 5 or 10 years, you're much older. And so there again, you get into the age situation with you and having to get coverage. Then your health changes sometimes as you get older, sometimes not the best. But it's not a bad thing to have a policy through a group offering through your job, But if you plan to make changes in your life, if you plan to grow, you want to start a business at some point, you want to leave that job, it would be good to look at some options for outside of that job.
Okay. I know you mentioned a while back, it's like if you think about starting a family, how many years, how many kids, how many years, before they go to college and things like that.
Yeah, so we try to do this, and this is not necessarily normal, that you'll get in the norm of the reign of dealing with your insurance agent, but we try to sit down and help people make a vision for their life, cast vision. Okay, where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you think you may have a family? Do you think you may be having kids? Do you think you may be starting a business? What type of debt is in that business that you want to protect your family from? So we try to get you to look at your life. And it's not like we're getting in your business, but I always say, but we are getting in your business. So that's why we ask the questions, and that's why we like to do the yearly reviews with our clients. And we don't take that lightly, because I don't want anybody to say, Leah never gave me the option for life insurance. Nobody ever told me about it. There's so many things that we can touch on during the reviews that could help you. Even if that's just a thought or talking about it that one time, and maybe 6 months later or a year later you decide, okay, I want to act on that, at least we planted the seed for that to make sure that we brought the options to the individual.
So after I come in, you give me a quote, and I decide to accept the quote, how long do I actually get the policy?
Okay. All right. So if we're talking about life insurance, it varies, because there are options for life insurance where you don't have to have, per se, a medical exam. And then there are some that do require a medical exam. Then there are some that pull out of the system in the sky, as they say, or HIPAA, pull that information that can review, your past health issues or the medicines that you take from the pharmacy. We don't get that information, but there is a review of that through the underwriters for life insurance. So sometimes it can be very quick if there's not a whole lot going on with you, and if your doctor will release that information if it's requested. And then sometimes it could be a couple of weeks or a month, but what we try to do is to advise you step by step. Okay, we're going to need the medical records. Could you call your doctor and ask them to, when they get this request from Farmers New World Life, that they release it to them so that they can have this information to do the review? So we kind of give you the steps. All right, so will you provide your last doctor's visit and provide that information to them from the interview that they're going to do with you by phone? So we try to give them a heads up on the steps to take to get that rolling, so it doesn't seem like it's such a long, drawn-out process. And everything is pretty much electronic today anyway. So you do an electronic application. You pay that first month's premium when you start any review of life insurance. You pay that up front. And then once the underwriting is complete, they say, okay, everything worked out according to this application presented, and we get it started. And then I make an appointment with them to deliver the policy to them.
Okay, well, let's switch gears. Imagine business owners.
Okay.
And the importance of life insurance with them.
That's a good point to bring up. Thank you. What we have is something called key person insurance. And I'm not going to go into all that today, but basically it is an option that if you're a partner in a business and you have first of all, you can start with partners. And there's one person that contributes to the business, and you just assign a value to it, that if that person is gone, what it would take to replace that person based on their sales ability, the marketing, whatever it is they bring to the business, you assign that value. And then we can find a policy for $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is. And that's protected, put on that individual, that if something happens to them, God forbid, then that policy could go back into the business to continue to allow the business to continue running. So that's a very key point for business owners, that if you have partners, and even if it's not your partner, it could be individuals who work in your business, key employees. Companies do offer that for them to protect that person, because if you're a business and running a business, you can't do it yourself. There are individuals who contribute to your business. So to keep that business going, in the event that something happens to one, that's an option that is available.
Okay. So let me go back to personal for a minute.
Okay.
What do you say people who sometimes say, well, I got my insurance with A, which is my home, I got my auto with B, and I got my life with C. Why should they combine it all in one?
Well, on those wheels and walls, as we say, those things, there are options and discounts for bundling those. If you start out with all of those things with one company, you get better discounts because most companies like Farmers does offer do offer discounts for doing all the bundles. But if you're switching life insurance, that's typically not something that happens a lot because depending on the age in which you got that life insurance policy, it may not be even beneficial to you to change unless it's flat out a policy that you didn't need from the beginning. But I do offer the opportunity for people to do the bundling because there are significant savings in doing bundling for home and auto, even for business. And if you add life onto it, then it's additional discounts. So there are benefits.
Okay. What about let's turn to the auto front? Anything new lately as far as the auto? I know it's like a new state law that requires.
Well, we know the minimum the state requires is you to have at least $25,000 insurance, and it's the liability portion of that. Self-driving cars is a trend for the industry in protecting individuals. We've heard about some things that have happened with certain cars that is affecting that, but those are some trends in the auto industry. And gas prices have been fairly low for the past few years, so there are more people on the road. Unfortunately, more accidents have occurred as well, and then even furthermore, that affects all of our rates for all of the companies. So that is a thing that's happening in the industry. But particularly, we know that in the state of Alabama, we must have the liability insurance as drivers on the car at minimum, and then there are options that we can provide outside of that as well.
Okay, so to home. Since we live in Alabama, we have a state that has unpredictable weather. What would you like to tell homeowners, especially a lot of homeowners that got a lot of trees around in their property, and also they may overlap into the neighbor's property, where they should kind of look for, because you probably get calls.
Yeah. So that's important. Maintenance of your property is very important. And this goes toward investors as well. If you have a lot of properties that you have rented out, pay attention to your property because pride of ownership is important to the carriers like Farmers. They look at, if there are a bunch of trees hanging over the roof, if that is an exposure, an opportunity for liability. And sometimes carriers, when they do second and third renewals and fourth renewals, they'll look at your house and say, hey, you got a tree hanging over here, we're going to cancel your policy. Now I haven't experienced that ever in my 9 years at Farmers, but I've had people to come to us who have had that from their companies. But we do look at, when we write those policies, whether or not those things exist, and it may hinder an individual from getting coverage on their home if they have trees too close to the property. So keeping those trimmed up, because like you say, you never know if a tree may fall on a house, God forbid. But that's important to look at that and to get that trimmed down and keep those limbs trimmed back and make sure that the property, is good for even those that live in there, even if they're a tenant.
Okay. Covered a lot today. What are some things, lasting thoughts you would like to tell the viewers?
Well, like you said, this is the Life Insurance Awareness Month, and I think one of the key things that we need to do in the community is just make sure that we show our love one for another, and we say this: love your insured, and the way you love your insured is to insure your love. That's very important to me, to making sure that no one is left on the hook if something happens to you. That we don't necessarily have to do so many GoFundMe and find a way to bury our loved ones. The average burial and funeral is anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. So at minimum, have that coverage. But I would ask us to be a bit more proactive and start planning, not only for this for life insurance, which covers an untimely death, but in terms of building our wealth, begin to save money and begin to look at ways to grow our money and to impact our communities. So that's very important. And my job is not to find out best way to get the money out your pocket, but we want to protect you that if something happens. So share with us and call us and let us know what's going on with you, and we'll find a way to help you. Whether you're a business owner that needs the liability coverage to cover your business, to cover the vehicles or your fleet of cars that people are driving, or whether it's an individual that just wants to make sure that if something happens to them, that their children are left well off, or at least better than they were when they started out. They can just give us a call and we can help them.
Okay, so for more information and how to contact you and where you located.
Yeah, okay, so you can go to our website, leahwiggins.com, or you can call us at 205-325-1745. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on the World Wide Web. But we're here in Alabama providing services for all things pertaining to families and businesses, and we can help you.
Okay. Well, Ms. Wiggins, thank you for your time. And for more information and more of these interviews, please check out my website, what'shappeningbirmingham.com. Thank you all again and have a great day. Bye-bye.